The moment you stop giving her the attention she once took for granted, a quiet chaos begins inside her. Not because she's heartbroken, not because she realizes your worth, but because you interrupted the flow of validation she depended on. Like oxygen, you disrupted the rhythm she had grown addicted to, the comfort of knowing you were always there. When you go silent, it's not just a gap in conversation. It's a rupture in her emotional routine. You were her constant, her emotional safety net, the source of steady attention that made her feel important. And now, that steady stream is gone. She doesn't know how to cope with that, not because she loved you deeply, but because the role you played was so crucial to the identity she built around your attention. She doesn't panic out loud. No. She pretends she's fine. She puts on her best act for the world. She posts filtered smiles, curated stories, and subtle hints that she's thriving. But inside she's unsettled. Your silence isn't just absence side's pressure. It's an unanswered question that loops. In her mind, she replays your last words, overanalyzes your final text, checks your profile when no one's watching. She brings you up in conversations disguised as jokes or casual memories, but the undertone is clear. She's confused. Why did you stop? Why aren't you reacting? Because she expected you to chase. That's what most men do. They ignore for a little while, then crumble under the weight of their own emotions. But not you. You stayed still. You didn't fold. That silence, it becomes your power. It becomes the loudest thing in the room. You're no longer available, no longer predictable. And in that shift, you become valuable. Not to play games, but to finally protect the part of you she never truly appreciated. Asterisk, she'll come back. It won't be a grand confession or an apology laced with regret. It will be subtle, quiet, almost unnoticeable. A "Hey stranger" message, a heart on your story, a random meme that she says reminded her of you. But you'll recognize it for what it is, not affection, not love, but withdrawal. She's not coming back because she suddenly realized you were the one. She's coming back because the supply is gone and she's gasping for air. You were her emotional high, her hit of validation, her ego's comfort zone. And now, without you, she's spiraling. She doesn't know how to fill the void. Not because she misses your soul, but because she misses how your attention made her feel. But you're not her emotional drug anymore. You've stepped out of that role. You've seen behind the curtain, and now you understand the game. She's not reaching out for reconnection. She's testing. She wants to see if you're still there, if you'll still play your part. But you won't. Because this time, you're not reacting. You're not feeding her illusions. You're not sacrificing your peace just to feel wanted again. You're done being the backup plan, the safety net. It's a guaranteed fallback. While she's poking around trying to reopen old doors, you're building new ones that don't lead back to her. You've redirected your energy to your health, your goals, your mind, your mission. And in doing so, you've reclaimed every piece of power you once handed over. That climb you're on now, it's too steep for distractions. And she feels that. The more she reaches and gets nothing back, the more she realizes the version of you she knew no longer exists. You've evolved, and she's not ready for this version. Asterisk, don't break. Don't flinch. This is the chapter where most men lose the battle, not because they weren't strong, but because they confused silence with loneliness. She sensed the shift. She'll feel the void where your validation used to live. And that's when she'll come harder, not with honesty, but with tactics. She'll try to trigger you. She provoke you with subtle posts, recycled memories, or even sudden anger. Anything to get a response. But the real power lies in not reacting. The more you stay grounded, the more her illusion starts to crumble. She thought she knew you. She thought you were predictable emotionally, easily pulled back in with a little effort. But now, you're a question mark. That unknown? It drives her crazy. When your silence is genuine, when it's rooted in clarity, not manipulation, it becomes magnetic. You're not playing hard to get. You just stop making yourself easy to reach. She senses the difference. It's not a game to get her back. It's not about revenge. It's about reclaiming your value. Every second you don't reply, you're saying I'm no longer accessible by default. That's not cruelty, that's self-respect. She had a chance to have your presence, your consistency, your care, and she didn't value it. So now, you've stepped away, and that distance is louder than any confrontation. This silence, it's not passive. It's active. It's rebuilding. You're hearing your own thoughts again, remembering the version of you that was quieted to keep her comfortable. And now, in the stillness, you find strength. You remember that your peace is not a bargaining chip, it's a boundary, one she didn't respect. You're not being cold, you're being clear. And clarity is far more powerful than chaos ever will be. Let her guess, let her wonder. Because that mystery, it's your silence doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Asterisk, she will return eventually. They always do, but it won't look like what you imagined. There won't be tears on the doorstep or grand apologies drenched in honesty. No. She circled back in the shadows, subtly, carefully, trying to test the temperature before stepping in. A reaction to your story, a random memory sent as a message, a question she doesn't really need the answer to. It's not vulnerability, it's curiosity. She's not trying to rebuild what was lost. She just wants to know if the door is still cracked open. If the emotional safety net she took for granted is still under her feet. But you know better now. You're not that same man anymore. You don't respond out of loneliness. You don't chase out of hope. You evaluate. You observe, because this return, it's not a sign of growth until proven otherwise. Most of the time, it's not even about you. It's about what your attention gave her. The ego boost, control, the certainty. She's not mourning your soul, she's mourning her access to it. So when she tests the waters, don't dive in. Let her make the effort. Let her show if it's real. If her return is laced with manipulation, nostalgia bombs, or guilt, she hasn't changed. She's just desperate. But if she comes back calm, accountable, without excuses, then maybe, just maybe, she's felt the weight of your absence. Even then, you choose from a place of clarity, not craving. You're no longer emotionally available by default. That privilege is earned, not assumed. You no longer react to breadcrumbs. You don't feed emotional tourists. You're selective. Now, not out of arrogance, but out of survival, because you finally understand that not every connection deserves a second chance. Sometimes, closure comes not with a conversation, but with silence. Asterisk, you've come too far to turn back now. What once pulled you in no longer moves you. Her words don't carry the same weight. Her presence doesn't ignite the same fire. You've rebuilt yourself piece by piece, in the quiet, in the solitude, in the space where her chaos used to live. You no longer check your phone hoping for her name to appear. You no longer lose sleep over her silence. So your silence has become your strength. It's not emptiness, it's evolution. The version of you that needed her validation, that craved her attention, that tried so hard to be enough for someone who never truly showed up, is gone. And in his place stands a man who finally knows his value. Now when she returns, you don't see hope, you see a test. You don't feel excitement, you feel caution. Because you've learned. You've studied her patterns, watched her cycles, seen the loop play out too many times. Now you know if it's real, it won't come through games. If it's growth, it will show through action, not apologies. The peace you found is too precious to gamble. The silence you've built is too sacred to break for someone who only wants you. When you're gone, you're no longer seeking closure. You're not hoping for the past to be rewritten. You're focused on your path, your purpose, your power. And that's what truly scares her, not your absence, but your indifference. She used to be the center of your gravity. Now she's just another orbit you passed on your way to better things. And whether she comes back humbled or vanishes into silence, it no longer defines you, because ignoring her didn't just free you from her hold, it brought you back to yourself. And that version of you, he doesn't beg, he builds.